4 of the state committee rules does not allow for points of order. If we had Robert's rules, all 1,700 of you would be allowed to get up and give a speech on every single subject today. People from south of here would probably not find that very convenient, and we're going to do it. It's quite correct, and that is the ruling. I ask you to please be quiet and return to your seats so that we can present the next report. Mr. Simpson, please come on up and present your report from the Credentials Committee. Thank you, Mike Simpson.
Good morning, everyone. Fellow Republicans, the Committee on Credentials met at 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Saturday, June 13th, and examined the credentials and certification of all delegates to this convention. The committee members in attendance were Austin Robenstein from the 2nd District, Pat Brown from the 3rd District, Stephanie Fittler from the 5th District, Dwayne Hines from the 6th District, Brian Ganache from the 7th District, Greg Newman from the 8th District, and Amanda Lowry from the 9th District. There was one challenge filed in a timely manner. Filed challenges and the results below. The challenge was presented by Kelly Hare of Madison County. The respondent to the challenge for removal was Nicole Kapusinski. The challenge results were upheld and the delegate was removed. There were 8 yeas and 0 nays. The official call of the Indiana Republican State Convention reflects the total number of delegate spots allotted to each county. We wish to report that there are 1,789 duly elected and appointed delegates whose credentials have been properly filed are in order. That is my report. I make a motion that we accept the 1,789 delegates to this convention.
We've heard a motion to accept the Credentials Committee reports. Is there a second? I recognize a second from a whole lot of you, and thank you. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. Aye. And the report has been adopted. Thank you.
I don't need your party and I don't need your kiss. I took the hit, I paid the price. It is what it is, that is what it is. That is what it is. You wanna test my patience? You wanna push that edge? Just understand something real clear. I've already been there. Say what you want, say it to my face. I stood back up from the worst mistakes. I don't need your part and I don't need your kiss. I took the hit, I paid the price. It is what it is, that is what it is. I've been written off, I've been counted out.
What's up, everybody? Man, what a day. I was gonna decompress a little bit, and then I just remembered that I had the podcast. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is now just a little past 7 p.m. and this is Nicole Schuyler Kapuscinski minus Catherine for tonight. Again, she's kind of got jet lag from being out of town today, and so she's not going to be able to get on here this evening. And for tonight's episode, I'm just going to go ahead and get right into it. We've been duped, ladies and gentlemen. I've been duped. I don't know about all you, but up until 2026, I thought we still had constitutional rights, and after the experience I just had in Indiana politics, I'm gonna go change our group from your vote matters to our votes don't matter. That's what I've learned. So Hoosiers, we've been duped is the name of tonight's episode. This week we are having an honest conversation about party politics, political power, and what happens when ordinary voters discover that the people they elected may not have the final say. That's what I discovered this week. That's very disheartening for me. And many Hoosiers grow up believing that voting in a primary matters, that constitutional rights apply equally, and that political parties exist, represent the people. But when party organizations, committees, insiders, and private rules can override voters, silence criticism, and elevate allegations over evidence, it raises a serious question. Who is the party actually serving? And I had to learn that there are the Republican people, grassroots Republican, voted Republican all our lives, and we're not even considered Republican to some of these elected officials in these parties. Now, I didn't know that. I really didn't know that, even though I served and I'm a combat veteran. I didn't actually experience this. I mean, I've heard people say it, and it's kind of like gossip, but I just got booted from the Republican Party based on false allegations, and they wouldn't even let me rebut. What? So I got treated worse than a criminal. And then not just me, there was other delegates, which I'll be getting into here in a little bit. I'm gonna flip through some stuff here in a second. And Catherine did put on a little reel. I'm gonna play that for anybody that didn't get to watch it earlier. But man, I'm learning some things about parties, organizations, 501. I don't even know if it's a for governmental type PAC. I didn't you hear these PACs, you hear people talk about political action committees, but you never really know what they do until they've attacked you a couple times. So anyway, I've been fighting with Chloe saying that bylaws don't supersede the Constitution, and as of 6/20/2026, she has proven to me that the bylaws of their clubs and their parties and their organizations do trump the Constitution for some of us, and some of them get more rights than we do for some strange, odd reason. And then a whole bunch of stuff happened today. I don't know if anybody saw Larry Savage's post about Chloe running up on him and punching him and saying something to him about him sending us pictures. And I just want to put on the record for clarity, Larry didn't send me the picture of her in the hallway. I was on here and I have super sleuthing skills, and I found some pictures, and in that lot of pictures that I found from the convention this morning, there she was in the hallway with the delegate badge on. That was not Larry Savage. So the whole ordeal with Larry was kind of uncalled for, but it is what it is. So back to, we've learned a lot this week. In this episode, we're gonna kind of examine the difference between loyalty to the Constitution and loyalty to a political organization. Too often, party politics can feel less like public service and more like a fraternity house, where protecting the organization, the hierarchy, the good old boys club, and the preferred insiders matter more than truth, fairness, or the voters. Now, when I started Your Vote Matters, me and Catherine did all that. We were serious. We thought it mattered. But having them turn over a primary election result because they don't like me, and then it disenfranchises 1,285 voters in Madison County. Now, they need to have closed primaries. We don't need to be spending our tax dollars on these primaries if we're not allowed to participate as a grassroots Republican for that side. I will be able to still run as a Republican on the ticket, but it's going to be kind of interesting next couple of years. Anyway, we will talk about due process. I don't feel like I got due process. Protected speech, I feel like it's under attack. Political retaliation, I'm going to show you some emails here in a little bit that show you they ignored my appeals. They didn't answer me. Voter disenfranchisement and the danger of allowing gossip, unverified claims, and personal attack to decide who gets a seat at the table. And I'm not in the club. Supposedly Chloe is, so she got to see she got a delegate badge even though I beat her in the primary. And we were told the last couple of weeks that wasn't legal. And it appears bylaws supersede the Constitution. So I'm a little, I don't know, I don't want to say defeated because I never feel defeated. I just feel like everything that I've been taught doesn't really apply. And the only way that I can really beat them at this point is showing how they lied on them complaints. So anyway, here, let me go over here to Catherine. She just sent something to me too. So let me go to her reel from this morning. Okay. So this is what Catherine had to say this morning when we figured it out.
Well, good morning, Madison County, and to all you voters out there. This doesn't just pertain to Madison County. I just want people to understand that about 30 minutes ago, Nicole Kapuzinski went to the Republican delegate meeting, and they voted her off of the floor. Now, I want everybody to understand this. Nicole was sent a letter to be at this meeting, to attend this meeting. And so she went, and then they took her in and they voted her off of the floor. Is this like their sickness of bullying to like bring people out, invite them there, not have their ducks in a row, right? So what happens is that the communication breakdown between the 5th district and the state was negligible. And then on top of all of that, last week, the state decided to have a meeting about Nicole, but they only notified her by email. So they notified her by email. She didn't get it. It went to spam. So she didn't go. And then when this truck's going to go by. When she ended up finding it, it was the same day that she was supposed to be there, and the meeting was already taking place. The communication breakdown with the 5th district is disgusting. It's awful. And the fact that this continues, it's because we tolerate it. There should be no reason that all of this is happening. So now what the Republican Party at the delegate meeting told you is that for the 1,259 voters who showed up and voted Nicole into that seat, they said, your vote doesn't matter. That's what they said. And that's not how America was made. Your vote does matter. And the only way we're going to be able to beat these people is for you 1,259 voters and all the other people who were not in her district but want this change. You're going to have to register people to vote. You're going to have to get your families to the polls. You're going to have to inform people of how corrupt this is. The only people who are causing problems in their party, in the Republican Party, is themselves. And when I say their party, it's because Catherine is an independent Republican, and we will have more of us coming this way. I can't wait to see, as we roll into the fall elections, how many Republicans are supporting Democrats going into the fall. That 5th district, you're going to get real busy, incredibly busy, because you have to take out all those people. But you know what, people? They changed the rules shortly after they took me out of the Republican Party. For their Republican Party, they changed the rules, and they said the only people who can file any type of complaint, you have to be an elected official. That's why they wouldn't hear any of Nicole's complaints. Well, funny thing is that Nicole was elected. She refiled at being elected. They still didn't hear her complaints. So yeah, I'm going to call bullcrap on all this. And I just want everybody, what I'm doing is just pointing out the obvious. This is corruption. This is abuse of power. And this is what the people tolerate. But we can't tolerate this anymore. So please don't give up on voting. You know what? I'm proud of Nicole. I'm proud of Nicole for going there, standing her ground, showing up. Good for you. Because now the only way to put this on full display is to push back and show the people exactly the corruption and what they're doing. So I encourage everybody to, pay attention. I encourage everybody to continue to vote. Thank you, Nicole, for being a woman who is not going back to, when women couldn't vote, when women didn't have a voice. Good for you. And so I just want you to know, when you see Kelly Hewer out, when you see Jessica Piper out, because I know I got people from all over that watch, when you see Mario Massimani out, I want all of you to ask them, since when did they get that much power? what I'd really like to know, and I'm at a conference right now, I will be back tonight. I don't generally like to do any of this when I'm out of town, because then people harass my home and stuff. But what I really would like to know, I would like to know, if you saw yesterday, Mario Masalamani, his son is the youngest delegate on the floor. The youngest delegate on the floor, okay? So that means he's the youngest delegate. He's 18. I want to know, was he on the ballot? So was he voted in, or was he appointed to that seat? I'd like to know that, right? Because I don't know what the answer to that is. Because when you see the Secretary of State, Max England, can't win his own delegate seat in his own area, but he's running for Secretary of State, holy cow. So if Max England wins today, you will see how this really works. So I'm excited. If Diego wins today, you will see how this works. But if Shelton wins, then we know that the people are educated voters that are delegates and they're voting. So these delegates are going to show us what corruption looks like today. They certainly just showed us what abuse is today. And here's the thing. People often say that this is complaining. This isn't complaining. Until this happens to you, then it doesn't really affect you, right? And so these people toe the line, and they haven't had the pushback of when you have to tell the truth or when you have to speak the truth. You know, they haven't been, you know, like in Christopher Bilber's shoes or my shoes, when all we're trying to do is what's right and fair for the people. So until you're on our side, you don't fully get it. You kind of look at it that you're complaining, oh, that this person's a crazy person. Well, I don't know. Christopher's crystal ball always comes true. Mine always comes true. We just have to give it enough time for it to hang itself. So give this some time. I want people to just think about this. You know, Nicole, you're probably not watching this right now, but you know what? I'm proud of you. And there's a lot of us that are proud of you. And I bet there's 1,259 voters out there that are really pissed off, but they're proud of you because you said your vote matters enough to me. I'm going to go show up. So there's more elections coming. We still have time. Change isn't quick. We will get there. But in the meantime, people, get people registered to vote. Your vote is important. Get people to the polls. We have one of the lowest turnouts in voting history. So anyways, I'm sure Christopher at some point is going to broadcast about this. I'm sure Nicole will too. And when I get back, I'll settle down with those and see what we can do. But anyways, I just wanted to bring you guys up to date on that. Have a great Saturday. And you know what? We still matter and we still count. All right. We'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you.
We do still matter and we do still count. Okay. Hold on. Let's see. What do we want to do next? I thought about a couple things. So I have, since they did name drop me. I'll show you what they sent me. So the argument is that I believe they based the complaints on false information that can be proven false. Let me get that comment. Hold on. So that's why I filed 10 defamation lawsuits, because I figured out, you know, everybody who played a part in each one of them complaints. And I did ask for $10,000. That's $1,000 a year that they punished me because they put me in Republican in bad standing for the next 10 years. But after appealing, which I appealed both, I've appealed all this, they've ignored me. And then now today I seen, you know, I did show up yesterday, and as I was getting ready to walk in the door, I found the Indiana code that showed that they had a right to do what they did. And I learned a whole bunch of stuff that I can get into with you here in a minute. But my definition of like an elected official and what the definition of an elected delegate are two different things. So because the elected delegate is kind of party organizational related, they could do what they did per Indiana code, because somehow while we've all been, you know, busy living and, you know, pandemic and everything, through all that, some of them figured out how to file Indiana codes that give them power and give them more rights, I guess, and then supersede the Constitution. So anyway, this is after the credentials committee that I didn't get until the 13th. The 13th is also, it was sent to me on June 9th, but I didn't know that was in there. It went to my spam. I somehow found it, but the point I want to, so we see all this, right? But like, okay, it says that I was Republican in bad standing per Indiana Republican Party Rule 126 for a period of 10 years. Okay, but it doesn't give me anything to rebut, right? This doesn't have a complaint attached to it. So it's kind of hard, even if I would have showed up to whatever this was that they had on the 13th, there's no way that I would have been able to rebut a complaint that they don't even give me the information to. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they try to play in court, because even at the hearing on June 7th, the witnesses that showed up were they didn't give any information about what was actually in the complaints. They all brought new information and nobody would let me rebut it, even though I had documents to prove that some of it was lies, and I could have proved that they were using the cropped imagery, but they wouldn't let me have copies of it. So it's just a whole constitutional thing that I really didn't know that we didn't have constitutional rights in like these party organizations until June 7th, 2026, pretty much. So, and then these guys, they try, basically Landers and them are trying to act like I'm the kind of veteran that would walk into a city council chambers and shoot it up, and kill somebody. And while I'm on it, I found something, because it's like pre-Two Chicks, kind of what got me into the situation with Jennifer Culp and them. I addressed at city council, in January, and I told them to stop telling people that I was mean or I was going to wind up suing them in court. So it's not like I didn't give them a fair warning that they were lying and that I was getting ready to challenge their lies. Hold on. Okay. Pull it up. And yeah, it was January. So look at okay. What I'm looking at over here is my other channel, Heads Up, which is the one I originally started on. I should have City Council, just an album of City Council. But I went and I talked to City Council and I told them everything that was going on. And I confronted the situation. That was on top of getting my rights violated in City Council chambers with Jennifer Culp. But things escalated anyway to where all this information trickled into the Republican Party chambers. And then I have evidence to prove that I'm not the aggressor in the situation. And they wouldn't even let me give it to them. And then they wouldn't let me appeal anything that they were saying. So I'm trying to multitask right now, and I'm not seeing the video that I want from January. Maybe I should just put 2026. I think it was January 8th.
Evening. Welcome.
That was that one. Okay. Because I do stuff with environmental contamination too. And so we've been going back and forth with these guys for a bit on several topics. And it started over Max Winkler, the thrill kill kid. Dude, like, they totally wouldn't let me have, like, I got yelled at. I got told to go sit down, and they let Max Winkler's story.
A Hamilton County judge has sentenced the Fishers teenager who pleaded guilty to murdering a man chosen at random in his neighborhood.
Our Scott Swan was in the courtroom for the sentencing today of 18-year-old Maxwell Winkler. Scott joins us now with the punishment that Winkler now faces. Scott.
This case has been so sad to cover. Max Winkler came into court today wearing handcuffs and shackles. He sat down. He only uttered the words, "Yes, sir," to the judge when he was asked a question. He did not look at the victim's family when the victim's family stood up and read their letters today. Two of the victims.
So basically, this kid's story got more respect in a city council meeting than I did. Okay, here it is.
Which is Nicole Cappuccino.
I'm sorry. I thought that was after that. Very good. Got it.
So I'm not going to play this whole thing, but I just want you to know that I have been addressing this issue with these ladies right here for quite some time. I'm not going to play this whole video. I just want you to know that I have clips where I have addressed these guys trying to make people feel like I was going to shoot people. I try to do this the most adult way that I can. So why they would go into the chambers and try to tell Mario and District 5 and the state of Indiana that they were scared of me when they've been the aggressors. So anyway, I'll prove that part in court, but that's kind of why I got punished. And then back to this email. So really, I started looking at some of the rules. They only gave me a minute, I think it was, to even be able to rebuttal. So none of this is set up for us to actually get past. It's like the gauntlet. And if you're not on their team, Kelly Hewers, because, I mean, they got another lawsuit. If you look up what happened during the 2024 election with Catherine, and there's a lawsuit going around. Catherine had to file a lawsuit against them. So something just happened in court, I think on the 12th, and it's involving the Lincoln Club, which Kelly Hewer was on the Lincoln Club too. So they have a history of doing hits on people. But this to me is a new low. So I asked the secretary where my complaint was, and he tried to send me, my degree is in electronic engineering technology, and I build websites as a hobby. So I know how to work a computer. And I sent him some stuff. And then this is what he sent me back. And it says, you know, shows the screenshot, PDF, complaint was sent, blah, 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 blah. They didn't give two poops about me and any regards to the people who voted for me. And then they reattached this complaint. Still, look, 2 of 2. What am I supposed to rebut on that, right? And if I can prove that the other complaints, okay, let's do that. So the other complaint, this is the same complaint from February that they tried to publicly admonish me on, with a little twist. And then they added a couple things, but it's basically the same complaint. So they tried to even say that I don't support other veterans. Well, the fact I got in trouble for supporting, Will Henry is another veteran. So I don't know how these people can say that I don't get along with all veterans and that I fight with everybody. No, that's not true. I fight with people that don't have integrity. It's not like there's just some firecracker randomly going off on people. Usually there's a reason. And sometimes I feel violated. Sometimes they break the law and try to blame it on me and put my name on stuff. And so, you know, you got to give me a name so I can tell you what happened. And then they don't want to give me names. They want to give me blanket statements. But Rainwater and Will Henry are both veterans. And in the 2020, okay, when I did this, it was already past, like Kenneth Hodson had already started suing me through the pandemic. And nobody from the Republican Party came to save me. So how am I supposed to know that you're not allowed to endorse your friends or other fellow veterans in the state of Indiana if nobody's ever given me any type of party rules? Which goes back to something that I think that if anybody ever stumbles across my videos, you need to put the rules in front of soldiers so that when we go in there and we have to pick and choose just whatever, give us the rules so that we at least know that if we choose Republican, what we're getting ourselves into. And what I found is, if I guess drinking and driving and losing prosecuting attorney positions is considered in good standing, then whatever. And then voter fraud, if that's, if you've been charged with voter fraud and you used to vote Democrat half your life and you're now claiming to be Republican and you're in a sitting elected official's position, and that's considered to be a good, Republican in good standing. And there's all this corrupt stuff that goes on around here, and I can't even say, support a veteran. So anyway, it's not freedom of choice. You got to pledge your allegiance to a party. And I didn't know that's what I was signing up for. So that was one thing. But they said stuff like I said I would never support another Republican. That's not true. I've never said I would never support another Republican. I said I wouldn't support McKell Vaughn, and I wouldn't support people that Kelly Hewer supported or Pete Hewer supported or anybody that I've seen do mean stuff to other people, because I don't do mean stuff to people, because I have a conscience, and morals and karma to me is a bigger B word than I can ever be. So I do right and try to be nice to people. And yes, I do get in arguments with people, but we're adults and we're supposed to be able to work through our stuff. But apparently I'm the one that has all the problems. So anyway, they pull out stuff from when I was fussing with people, and I supported their opposition. And so my point in that was, if you're a Republican and you wanted my vote, then you should have been nicer. And they were shutting down our constitutional speech at the podium. I mean, that's a whole nother story in and of itself, but they weren't giving us freedom of speech at the podiums. So I like Fred Reese and I like Rebecca Crimes. It's Rebecca Crooms. I'll have to go back and fix it. Well, no, I can't. See, even the unedited, that's the other stuff. The stuff that's like unedited and cropped. I can't go back and fix that. I don't even know. Whatever. That's mine. I did support them. But this one's a cropped imagery. I've already proved this one was cropped. And look who, lo and behold. Bye-bye, Diego. I'm not sad to see you go. And they used, it's kind of funny, I admit to being not in good standing via her alternate social media page. Well, that doesn't admit, I didn't even know what the rules were, so I don't know what they're talking about there. I do talk about, see, this is the thing that they get mad. I talk about political corruption, if you can see that, and political nepotism. They go hand in hand, and you can't have one without the other, because the nepotites are going to get favoritism. Just the good old boys club is what it is. And so then here I shared Jackson Franklin. So because I'm sharing stuff about news, this one right here, and I've just said this before, Jackson Franklin, the whole fact that he could draw that big of a crowd was astonishing, and he's a veteran. So I was sharing his news or his stuff with what I thought was fellow veterans. I see, and you can see here, I don't even put anything here, but I can't even support veterans at this point. It makes me a Republican in bad standing because I support veterans. And then okay, this is about Diego. See, so this whole complaint started with Diego, which is funny that they all switched up to Max Engling right here in the last couple weeks. But it's almost like, did they know that they was going to switch up already with Max? What did they know behind the scenes? So they could pull some votes and do all this fancy stuff over here. All the while, they were going to go with Max Engling later. And when I say they, behind the scenes, I'm talking about Russ Willis, Kelly Hewer, Chloe, Kyle Pierce, and pretty much everybody that kind of like, never mind, keep going. I digress. So I said he was stolen valor. I did, because to me, I thought, and I will, okay, I did say he was stolen valor because I believe up until this point that the national definition of what a veteran is and what the VA definition of a veteran is, that he wouldn't be considered a veteran. Now, at some point, maybe because he was in the Indiana State House, they created new rules like in 2016 where if you were in the National Guard in Indiana, that you're considered veteran. Well, I didn't get that memo. Okay. Once I was corrected, I stand corrected. But he still only, from what I understand from all the stuff I've looked up, he still only served 3 months and 18 days on active duty, and he got out of a deployment. So sorry, not sorry. But yeah, I don't get along with people that sign up to get a green card, don't do your time, and then you get to lie on complaints about me. So sorry, I don't support those kind of people. And then I supported, and all I did here on this one was Obadiah is a veteran. He came to the Veterans Coffee Club, which Chloe and them have attacked in the last couple months because they're totally over there hanging out with the other coffee club getting bad intel on me. And that's another story for another day. But Obadiah came to mine just to, say hi and introduce himself to me because somebody told him that I was big into local politics. Okay. And then I was running that coffee club. So I got in trouble. All I did was share for my Dem friends. So I'm not even allowed, from what they're saying, to even have a friend that's a Democrat. Like, that's how, crazy this punishment feels to me. And then because I expressed congratulations, so I already got in trouble for that. They publicly admonished me for this stuff. But this is, okay, be like Bob. Bob is an independent thinker, and I'm going to laugh every time I see that post because it was funny. I didn't even say anything about it. I just shared the post, and they tell me that this is signaling that I will never support another Republican for the rest of my life. No, I have a sense of humor, and it was a funny post. And I do, and they just proved my point. I got punished over cropped imagery in Facebook. This one made it into my complaint. And I didn't even know nothing about that. I just shared this thing, right? And it made me kind of chuckle a little bit because it doesn't surprise me that Kyle would vote for stupid stuff or vote against stuff. So anyway, it made me chuckle. So this is the kind of stuff I just got in trouble for and I couldn't rebut. Oh, here's another veteran. I shared Blythe Potter. I thought I was being a political commentator trying to give, whatever. It is what it is. This is what got me in trouble. And then, supporting. Yeah, so if I'm not in good standing for supporting veterans who are libertarians or Democrats running for elected offices within the state of Indiana, then how is Russ Willis in good standing? It just don't make no sense. That is true. Russ Willis signed off on Democrats. Okay, let's do that one. So let's go back a little ways. So Catherine, I don't know if you're listening. Catherine just told everybody I had filed these complaints. So these guys know that I filed complaints. Yeah, here's some about Kelly Hewer. Okay, let's see the phone. Yeah, this one was about Kelly Hewer. So I got people that themselves shouldn't be considered in good standing. I got even better because it boils back to catching them in the chute and being mad about the chute. Okay, oh, that landed on a good one. I'll go back to that in a minute. Yeah, these were the Democrats that were funded. And I like these people. So I didn't even know that was a rule that you couldn't donate to Democrats until they tried to hold my feet to the fire. Apparently, everybody else is allowed to do whatever they want, but I can't even fart. That's not cool. Shoot, I should. I got a video of Chloe, the radio WHBU, talking about libertarian stuff. Okay, so I did file complaints on Russ. So Russ is the one that filed the first complaint on me back in February that got me publicly admonished. This shows the Friends of Madison County donating to Joey Cole. So I've turned in all kinds of information. That's one of the complaints. I gotta go back to my Facebook to show you the ones about the electioneering, because I just gotta show those, get the points across. So I turned in the electioneering ones. And this is Russ Willis here measuring the chute back in 2024. Mikhail Vaughn's here, 50-foot chute. He should have known better. Chrissy should have known better. My election hearing, our election hearing is coming up next Thursday for the electioneering stuff, but it didn't prevent Mikhail Vaughn from being able to complain about me at the D5 and say what a horrible person I am after David Albee damaging about $1,000 worth of damage. There's nowhere on here that has sign stuff. So this is whatever. I'm getting in trouble for stupid stuff. There, this will be challenging. Is Michelle Daniels, who is standing in the chute. Because when we say chute, here's where the polling things are. Polling boxes or the ballot box, okay? Right out these doors, 50 feet to this line right here is what they consider the chute. This is Christy Grabowski inside the chute with Michelle Daniels, which is the president of the Madison County Election Board. So she may or may not sit on this hearing on Thursday. If she does, then it's what we've been saying. She's just like Russ Willis. If she doesn't, okay, fine. But Mikhail's standing right behind her, and she let them stay in the chute. What is it? Now, by this time in the day, they already knew that the chute was out here because Tim Lannon had already came and told several of us to move our signs that were right here. So we were all given warnings. Mikhail and Christy saw it, and they still came back into the chute after everybody left, and that's where Michelle found them. So I hopefully Michelle tells the truth on that. Some of these people are innocent bystanders. Oh, this picture, a screenshot of this she was mad because I used this picture. Well, I'm mad that you hang out with shady people like voter fraud Vaughn. And then you electioneer on April 25th, and you possibly cost me a bunch of votes because you guys were breaking the law. And it seems nobody cares but me. And I'm not rich enough to go file a bunch of lawsuits to get to the spot that I need to get to have anything done about it, I guess. So even though we have the hearing on Thursday, no biggie, because they were able to go in there. The image that I saw from across the room was cut off here. So they made this look like it was sent from me, because this is where I was sitting over here. So I would have thought I sent this too, but this was sent from a voter to me. But it didn't matter. I didn't get to rebut and tell them that wasn't me, but they said in the hearing that it was me. I sent that, and I said such mean things about Christy. No, I didn't. That was what a voter was saying, because you were standing with voter fraud Vaughn, and they were upset that you were hanging out and what they felt like accosting them or telling them to vote for Mikhail. So that got me in trouble. And then that got me in trouble. But here, this is the mower that damaged our signs, and the guy that's David Albee is sitting right here talking to Christy Grabowski, and Mikhail Vaughn's right here. So he was around front tearing up signs while these guys were over here. Not all of them, because Culp and them, I had a good conversation with Jonathan Culp. It was an enjoyable conversation. We weren't arguing about something stupid, like I do with his parents. But anyway, Mikhail and all the people that I have some issues with are right in there. So I file something and I get in trouble because they say I'm mean. And then Christy says, because I put this, shoot or not to shoot, that is the ultimate question. It was a wordplay. Okay. I was not saying that I want to shoot anyone. I don't even own a gun for that very reason. So, I mean, Cain killed Abel with the rock. You know, I'm just saying, it's not the gun, it's the person that holds it. But either way, it wasn't the rock, it was the person who threw it or used it. I just don't own one. And so when you have people try to red flag you and tell everybody you're crazy, it just is like, it's like gaslighting to the maximus. And that's what's just happened to me. So anyway, they didn't like me telling on them. And I don't really feel like it was telling on them. If you're not supposed to be in the shoot and you're an elected official, then don't be in the shoot. And then don't cry about it and then try to act like I'm being so mean to you. Well, why hasn't it been investigated? Why isn't anybody asking those questions? Why hasn't Mikhail Vaughn? Now, I admit, I told you guys a minute ago, there was my signs. All of us got warnings, right? And Catherine wasn't there, so she had no idea that her sign was there. And I took responsibility and I moved I moved ours. And then somebody else, if you can't see it on there, I'm not going to tattle. Some of these others are just innocent bystanders. But we had volunteers put our signs up. So anyway, Tim Lannon gave us a warning. The elected officials knew better. Christie knew better. And voters got mad, and I got in trouble for saying shoot or not to shoot. And she said she compared it to Trump almost getting shot this day. Like I was paying attention. I don't even remember paying attention to the news when I put that. I was doing, a reel, and that's what you're inside the shoot. I had no idea they were going to turn it into she's so dangerous, and I was going to call and get a protective order against her because I felt like she was going to come and shoot me. Like that's some crap, you guys. So protected speech is being attacked. People are getting to commit crimes, and any of us who file the complaints get retaliated against. So that's what happened. So Mikhail Vaughn even gets to admit it.
You had 3 board members here.
I had 3 board members here.
Why didn't they work it off?
Why didn't they work it? Listen, I have no idea, Mikhail. But again, that doesn't matter if the board members. You, as a candidate, has to know the rules.
I'm saying they should mark it off.
You have to know the rules as a candidate. And you know that. They're not going to say, oh, well, you didn't know the rules. Now, you said to me, Catherine.
Okay, if you want to watch that one, you can go back and watch that one too, because I play some of these often when I'm trying to show people what I'm talking about, because it's just video clips are easier for me to explain stuff. So I did file the complaints. There's several complaints. David Albee, I filed one against Mikhail. I did not file one against Christie because I was hoping that the Madison County Election Board would do their job or the people at the polling place. And I've learned since all this went down that I think the guy who runs the poll, isn't that right? Are you on here? I don't know if she's watching or not. I know we have a couple viewers, and she might not want to oust herself right now, so I'm not going to draw attention to her. But I was sent some information that told me that the people who watch the polls are supposed to call these people out when they commit crimes. Well, it was my first campaign, so I don't know. But the Todd Baldridge thing with not putting his disclaimers on his hit pieces, that's a big thing. It's supposed to be against the law, so it makes no sense why these people who are supposedly Republicans in good standing aren't being investigated, but you're mad at me because I hurt somebody's feelings on Facebook. I called Diego Morales corrupt. The thing with whatchamacallit, Chloe, she started calling me a Republican in bad standing before she was even a Republican in good standing. So that's just kind of ridiculous. Oh, here's some of the cool stuff that I got sent behind the scenes. So everybody was shouting point of order. So there was a couple things going on in that video. I think Borka and the guys, Liberty something pack, and whoever the delegates were in agreement with Borka held like a semi-protest on the floor. Who had a good one? Somebody had Indy. Let me see. I'm gonna try to find it real quick because there was a good little clip of it. I think it was Indy Star. And I was very appreciative that they didn't throw my name in their clip. Let me see. Okay, here it is.
There
Let me turn it down a little bit.
are 1,789 duly elected and appointed.
We've heard a motion to accept the Credentials Committee reports. Is there a second? Recognize a second from a whole lot of you, and thank you. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay.
Documents were adopted by the committee, and the platform was subsequently approved by the committee at the conclusion of the meeting. The platform, as amended.
So what I gathered from what Borka and them were sending me is that the convention created the committee. So the committee has never been given statutory authority until recent. Okay, like because I found like Indiana code and all that, which wasn't included in the text, but I did understand what his text said. But the committee was trying to overthrow and usurp the convention power, and I think they've done a pretty good job. And from what I gathered was that in 2024 there were some rules that were added or amended that they didn't agree with that gave power back to the committee. And so this right here was sent to me. So I did learn a bunch of good stuff this week, and I'm thankful. There's a lot of people out there with this knowledge, and I wouldn't have gotten to know the history of like the Republican Party if it wasn't for me getting, well, I won the election and people chose me, so I was the people's choice. I just wasn't the party's choice, and we got disenfranchised. But in my opinion, but apparently I guess they have, I don't know, because this diagram right here, it shows the Republican primary voters picked the precinct committeeman, who picked the county chairman, who picked the district chairman, who picked the state chairman. Okay. And the primary Republicans pick and elect the delegates to the biennial state convention, which that concerns me because the rules that were used against me to bump me were created during the February complaints after Catherine was put on Republican as bad standing, and I was given the public admonishment. And I feel like they wrote those rules to block some of my complaints that I had filed through that time. And those are the complaints that when I realized I was still a sitting elected official because nobody had ruled on anything yet, I refiled all my complaints from February, and they still didn't listen to them. So they didn't care about giving anybody any rights, in my opinion. And that's I kind of have a problem with that. And if what Bork and them were saying is that in 2024, okay, let me read this one. So this is what they sent. Proceedings of the People's Convention of 1854. This was the first convention of what would become the Indiana Republican Party. At the time, the official proceedings of political party conventions were published in the newspapers. This is conclusive proof that the convention created the state committee and rules over it, not the other way around. So when you only have a couple people that understand, laws, codes, histories, whatever, then it kind of, they needed more people to be there. And I think they knew. That's why I think it was a rigged audience, in my opinion. Chloe was there. So how'd she get there? Okay. The other good one that they sent me, People's Convention, State House grounds. Okay, that's just some more history. If you guys want the links to that, I could send it to you. Okay, this one right here was what I hung on all week, was how and when did the convention transfer its authority? And we have to go into my two chicks. One up here real quick. Let's put stuff in here. Because it was, I found the answer like right as I was getting ready to walk in the door. And so then I had to stand down. Okay, this is some more stuff. Let me see. Okay, this is what I was saying earlier. So our definitions of what an elected public official, governors, mayors, and legislators, what they are and what an elected party delegate is. And so I think they need to close the primaries and they don't need to have public taxpayers paying for them if we don't get to participate. So this was an interesting little set here. And it kind of gave, I backed out. It gave me a little better understanding. I'm not saying that I agree with it. So something else. No, I want to see the Indiana code. I'll come back to that in a minute. Dang it. It was Indiana code 3 something. When I saw that, it looked like it had just recently been passed in the last 6 years. And I don't think I sent it to myself. Okay, so there's an Indiana code 3-6, and it's in my text messages. But either way, when I saw that code, it basically shifted all the power to the parties, kind of like what this is saying here. Courts have ruled the political parties have a constitutional right to decide who speaks for them. If an elected delegate breaks the party rules, emphasis on party rules, which isn't the grassroots Republican people that have no idea what these rules are until you actually do more than just vote for anybody. When we act against the party's goals, then we are no longer in good standing. The committee is acting on the power given to it by the convention's rule book to protect the party. So it goes back to what those guys were protesting earlier. And I have to say, I agree with them at this point. And I didn't know anything about Robert's rules until last year. So I didn't know anything that had been transferred to them. And I don't even know if the convention actually transferred anything to them. I think they've just taken it and nobody's, stopped them at this point. So there's that. And then there was a big to-do over what we found today, because we found that Chloe, who I ran against in May, actually was at the meeting. I want to see the picture though. I got all kinds of stuff on my wall. That's the Todd Colt, because Todd Colt's the elected official. You can hear in the background of that clip saying woohoo. Okay, Captain Woohoo. Okay, there's that. Do I have? Okay, I'm just gonna pull this up, but then I'm
step right.
Oh god, let's do songs. So basically, I won fair and square. The end total is 1,285. So this was like within the first 24 hours, the votes were cast. And Chloe only got 925. But here she could clearly be seen in some of the other photos I pulled. Oh, let's pull that one up. It's clearly a delegate badge. It clearly says Madison County on it. So she was obviously appointed to the position within the last several days. So It wasn't by coincidence. And Kyle Pierce had just switched and started supporting Max like within the last week. So that was an interesting little twist of events. They said that they couldn't do that. But when you got Jessica Piper on the Indiana Federation of Republican Women, we found this too. This is Piper right here. So the conflict of interest that was in this meeting was just sickening. And nobody wanted to hear what I had to say. So as a female combat veteran that has been bullied by Chloe Ignagnos and Jennifer Culp and Rachel Landers since 2023, I'm a little appalled that I wasn't even allowed to rebut and that they didn't even really care if they were lying or not. They just liked this kind of person better. So if you have tattoos, if you have a story, a little rough around the edges, I don't know. But I guess if you don't fit whatever this mold is in the Indiana Federation of Republican Women and you don't go through the Luger series and you don't fit their little box, we're not allowed in it. And ultimately that's sad. They want to pit me against my friends, people that I grew up with, for what? We already knew they're not supposed to be, they're supposed to have a neutrality thing in the Indiana Federation of Republican Women. I turned the complaints in about Chloe supporting McHale, and she's mad like I'm trying to dox her. I didn't put the address in the picture. Here's Jessica Piper with the lady that was telling everybody that my DD-214 was fake and that I got dishonorably discharged, So, I mean, when you listen to the Gossip Girl Club, I got a cousin in this picture, and I'm not going to point her out, but I just want you to know, if you're my family and you watch this, you stumble across this, and you know that was you in this picture, don't hang out with these ladies anymore. They're mean. So that's the picture that got me that got Larry in trouble today. But I just want everybody to know, for the record and clarity, Larry didn't take that picture. That was a random person on Facebook posted that, and we got it. And that's kind of how I got to this video tonight. And I don't know if I've really covered everything the way that others might have wanted me to. I tried to put as much information in there as I could, but Chloe is the wife of House District 36 Kyle Pierce. And let's show you. So I got banned, a lifetime ban by Chloe before she was even a Republican in good standing herself. And it happened in October of 2023. I gotta show you the comment, and then I'm gonna get off here because I don't see anybody commenting. So I think I've made my peace. I can decompress, and I might have went too far. Madison County 4-H Fair. That was a good one. They canceled the booth on me on us 1 year. See, squirrel. I'm such a girl. It's the Baldridge file. Mike paid for by Gaskell and Mike Vaughn, or Mikkel Vaughn. My election complaints. This is when they had it in on, like the election, Madison County Election Board had had it up for a couple days, and I signed it with a smiley face, and they took it down, and they haven't had an election complaint, a functioning complaint ever since. I did turn Rachel Landers I've turned her into everybody. Nobody's wanting to look at that misappropriation of funds. Not my fault. Let's see if that's it. So I always put the comment, but I basically just said, I'm going to stand on my sentiments. Like, the Madison County Women's Republican Club is not trying to bring the Republican Party or the Republican women together in unity. And I stand by that statement because they're not. If you're not part of their little club and you don't fit in their little box, then you're not allowed. And I'm still in a semi timeout because I got in a fight with Chloe and she said that her club bylaws supersede the Constitution. So on this anniversary of when I got put in my semi timeout, she won that argument. She has more rights than me right now, but I don't think any of her arguments will stand up in court. So that's where defamation comes next. Trying to see. So this is my virtual timeout. Still on timeout till July 6th over this. She says she didn't do it, but it's kind of hard to believe she didn't. So I think that's just all about that. And I didn't even know who Chloe was when we started arguing. She was like, her and Kyle both were like unknowns. They're not from here. So they just kind of snuck in. Clickbait Kyle. That's another one. So after Charlie Kirk died, they started using events and trying to pair Kyle Pierce like he was Charlie Kirk. She picked on Megan Stoner, and she is like Megan Stoner. She's a lot like Megan Stoner. So she gets to hang out with Democrats and do events, but I can't even be nice to one, or I'm not a Republican in good standing like she is, and I just don't get it. So this is my comment. That got me public, like a lifetime ban, 2023. And after 3 years of defending myself from these people, these women, this club, they finally won. They got me kicked out of the Republican Party based on lies. And they can't even prove what my comment was. So anyway, I'm getting text message, getting distracted. So I think I gotta get off here, folks. So I'm just gonna go ahead and go back to the little clip in case you weren't here in the beginning. We'll go out on the, you see me? It's really loud. I hope I didn't bust your eardrums. Well, you're watching.
I don't dodge smoke, I don't duck threats. If you cross that line, don't second guess. I've been forged where the weak don't live. I don't flinch, I don't forgive, I don't hide from shadows. I walk straight through every step I take is a debt I knew. Say what you want, say it to my face. I stood back up from
4 of the state committee rules does not allow for points of order. If we had Robert's rules, all 1,700 of you would be allowed to get up and give a speech on every single subject today. People from south of here would probably not find that very convenient, and we're going to do it. It's quite correct, and that is the ruling. I ask you to please be quiet and return to your seats so that we can present the next report. Mr. Simpson, please come on up and present your report from the Credentials Committee. Thank you, Mike Simpson.
Good morning, everyone. Fellow Republicans, the Committee on Credentials met at 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Saturday, June 13th, and examined the credentials and certification of all delegates to this convention. The committee members in attendance were Austin Robenstein from the 2nd District, Pat Brown from the 3rd District, Stephanie Fittler from the 5th District, Dwayne Hines from the 6th District, Brian Ganache from the 7th District, Greg Newman from the 8th District, and Amanda Lowry from the 9th District. There was one challenge filed in a timely manner. Filed challenges and the results below. The challenge was presented by Kelly Hare of Madison County. The respondent to the challenge for removal was Nicole Kapusinski. The challenge results were upheld and the delegate was removed. There were 8 yeas and 0 nays. The official call of the Indiana Public American State Convention reflects the total number of delegate spots allotted to each county, we wish to report that there are 1,789 duly elected and appointed delegates whose credentials have been properly filed are in order. That is my report. I make a motion that we accept the 1,789 delegates to this convention.
We've heard a motion to accept the Credentials Committee reports. Is there a second? I recognize a second from a whole lot of you, and thank you. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. Aye. And the report has been adopted. Thank you.
Mistakes. I don't need your party and I don't need your kiss. I took the hit, I paid the price. It is what it is. That is what it is. That is what it is. You wanna test my patience? You wanna push that edge? Just understand something real clear out. Already been there. Say what you want. Say it to my face. I stood back up from the worst mistakes. I don't need your party and I don't need your kiss. I took the hit, I paid the price. It is what it is. That is what it is. I've been written off. I've been counted out.